Hello, 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 and a very special video today because today I am sharing with you the first part of a sit-down conversation that I was able to have with the wonderful Dayles Addictions. We managed to make the time zones work, and today we are going to talk to you about finding your personal style, how to incorporate your personal style into your everyday and just really live your best life when it comes to fashion. I hope you enjoy. I loved having this conversation with Dayle, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye now. Well, hello there, Dayle.
Oh, hello there, Nick.
Happy Tuesday. Whatever happens in the future, don't tell me, okay?
Well, it's early days here on Tuesday morning. It's about 8:10 in the morning. What time is it in the past?
I'm at 10 past 10. So, like I said, I want to be surprised. I've still got 10 more hours, so I want to be surprised.
I won't spoil a thing.
How are you doing?
I'm really, really well. I'm so excited about this conversation. You and I have been talking about doing this video for a few months, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I cannot remember what the catalyst was. I think you had done a video, and I might have commented on your video about it was similar to do with personal style. It was a similar topic. I can't recall. Anyway, we got chatting on Instagram and then, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those topics, and I'm sure you're the same because we have fairly similar approaches probably to style. And we're big lovers of color and pattern and print and just kind of almost a little bit of a maximalist approach, I think, when it comes to fashion. And I always get a lot of comments from people with a similar theme of, I wish I could wear that, or I wish I knew how to do that. And maybe it's because it's just my nature, but I kind of sit there and think, well, you could. And actually, there's some quite simple ways to do it, and you don't have to necessarily go as far as maybe we go in terms of our approach to it.
Not
But
straight away.
but I think there are definitely ways to be able to add a little bit more personality into your style should you so wish. And I guess that's the statement that probably underpins all of this, isn't it? That it's how much you want to do and whether or not it fits your style and aesthetic overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And ways to kind of ease into it. I think if I looked, if I even took photos of my outfits 5 years ago and I looked at them, and I don't think I would have done because I think I would have, been happy to forget some of them. But I've
Well, it's
always
a fun
loved,
little thing. We'll throw in some cutaways of some outfits from 5 years ago, and we'll let the viewers decide as to whether or not we should have carried on with that, or whether we're okay to leave them in the past.
I think I'd struggle to find them. I don't think I was like taking selfies and things, back then. And it's probably because, unless it was an event or something that I really got excited about, I probably didn't inject my personality into the everyday. It was more event dressing, where everybody else was going to be making a bit of an effort, so it felt safer. And I think what we're talking about today is bringing your personality all the time, whether
Yeah.
you're day to day, whether it's your PJs like you're wearing. Sorry, Nick, I spoiled it.
Yeah,
Um,
you completely outed me there. Yes, I am
yeah,
wearing a blazer and my pajama bottoms. Okay, full disclosure, it's 10:15 at night. So there we go. It is what it is.
but yeah, we talked about like how do you feel comfortable doing it at work, and I think we just landed on how about we do a series of videos, and one is really focused on, which is this one, around how to bring your personality into your personal style from
Absolutely.
the introductory stages right through to, full blown loony like we are.
We love it though. It just makes shopping fun because I think it
Yeah,
means that the possibilities are kind of endless with
yeah,
it because you don't worry so much about, will I have something to go with that? You'll find something to go with it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always going to be something. And actually, it might just be that you haven't bought the piece that complements it yet. Or you
Mm.
might be able to dust something off that you never thought you were going to be able to match with anything. 2 years later, you find something and go, I know exactly why I bought that now, and I know where
Yeah.
it's going to.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And it works. It's actually a tip that works with everything, especially home decorating. And another thing that you and I have talked about, this lounge that I'm sitting on, this used to be brown leather. I hated it. It was so dark, but it's an heirloom and it's an inherited piece and it has a lot of sentimental value for my husband. And I'm like, how do we make this work in our home without our whole home looking dowdy?
Mm,
And it was actually to juxtapose the brown leather with actually light pinks, greys, and teals to make the walls really white, so that we bounced light around because it kind of became a vortex for light. And I think it's the same for people. It's kind of like,
mm,
if you think it won't go, it's probably a bit of a tip that it actually will.
yeah.
It'll really complement the thing that you're, or contrast away or distract away from the thing that you don't want to look at, or shine a new light on it. So, yeah, you had some tips, I had some tips, and we kind of shared them
Yeah.
in advance, so that we knew where we were talking, and we've got a lot of cutaways as well to share. So should we start?
I think let's get into it. I mean, I guess the first thing that I would always say for someone is understand what it is that you're looking to achieve with your personal style. And we talk about that sort of day by day, but it all depends on what your day looks like, what you're looking to do, what you're looking to convey, because that isn't the same every single day. Even if you're going to a workplace, for example, you might have an outfit that feels more appropriate in one setting than it does in another. It's the same in any kind of aspect of life. So, what is it that you're looking to get out of that outfit? Is there a message that you're conveying with it? Is there a mood that you're conveying with it? I'm someone who, if I'm maybe feeling a little bit lower, I might spruce up the outfit a little bit more as a bit of a counterbalance to it, because especially living in the UK, it's cold, it's damp, it's, a bit dreary. So why can't I wear a pastel pink suit in the depths of winter? Because it feels like a nice contrast sometimes to what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Kind of what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the examples that came to mind for me was because I consult and I work with leaders and I work with groups a lot. And a big part of my work is to build trust with people. And to build trust is kind of make them feel comfortable. So when I think about what I want to convey, if I want to make people feel comfortable, but it's still a corporate setting, I will just swap out my pumps for a pair of designer sneakers. And I'll probably swap out my nice blouse for a t-shirt that's a bit interesting. So I've got a blazer, dress pants, but I'm wearing sneakers and a t-shirt. And it's funny. They kind of go, oh, I like your t-shirt, or oh, you seem like really down to earth. Similarly, if I want to be powerful, I'll bring out my beautiful Roger Vivier pumps and I will look very put together in some kind of monochromatic outfit, and I'll be very, when I had my Chanel GST, I would choose that bag, because that's the vibe that I was going for. But to
Mm,
be honest, most of the time I'd be wearing my Hacker Project tote with a really put together outfit, because to me, that was me. It's like, yes, there's a dress code and I don't carry my bag around the office all day. I just wear it to the office and from. So this is this is me. This is my little part. So yeah, Yeah, that's kind of the examples that I would put into that one. And I think it's really important. Like, and I will tend to wear things, if I'm down, I'm kind of the opposite to you. I'll wear things where people won't engage with me about what I'm wearing, like, so I don't have to talk to people. So I feel like no one's going to ask me about my plain black dress. And that's kind of what I want from that day. So, yeah.
Yes, I'm the opposite in terms of a compliment is never wasted on me. I
Yeah.
loves me a compliment.
Yeah.
So if I'm having a bad day and someone wants to say something nice, bring it on. I'll take it all. Like lay it on. It's when you go to an effort and no one says anything. That's when I walk away really mardy because you know, not one
I
of
just
those people who can't say, "Oh, it was nothing." No, it was something. I put in a lot of effort here, and you said
it's
you
when you
said
get the
nothing,
old
but I'm annoyed.
right. I get that from my husband quite a bit, Nick. He's just like, that's interesting. He especially loves my new Fendi sandals with the mink fluff.
Oh,
Yeah, not at all.
bit of a hard sell, those ones.
Yeah, I don't care.
Ew, I like those ones. They're fun.
Yeah, exactly.
They remind me of Neapolitan ice cream.
Yes, which is
Yeah,
delicious.
exactly. Can't go wrong. So, kind of from my side, I guess the second thing, and it leans a bit into what we were saying there, but I also think it's always really important to be a little bit creative and a little bit experimental. And this will mean different things to different people. And where you take your inspiration from might be different. And for a lot of people, that might be using something like Instagram or YouTube or other social media platforms to draw a little bit of influence as to how someone else has styled that exact item or something quite similar.
Mm.
Or, of course, the brands themselves. I believe in a little bit of a fail fast mentality when it comes to it. I think it's okay to try something, hope it works out. If it doesn't, that's okay. You either decide to move the item on, return it, or, like I said earlier, put it to the back of your wardrobe and hope that at some point in time it makes sense again. But definitely trying new designs, silhouettes that you've maybe not tried before. Working with the proportions of an outfit as well
Mm.
can be quite interesting because I think we can sometimes get a little bit comfortable with the way that we wear things. And I know I've got items that I wear one way and one way only because that's all I've ever tried.
Mm.
And I know that you're a lover of this item, the Burberry trench.
Yes.
That is an exact example for me of an item I can only think of how to wear it one way. And the one way
Yeah.
I can think to wear it, I hate it.
Yeah.
So I am stuck in a rut with what is arguably one of the most classic items out there. And it might be because my style's just not classic enough. And that might be the issue in itself. But I feel like it's an item that I should be able to get to work.
Mm.
I just can't for whatever reason. And my experimental brain is blocked when it comes to that particular item. But then something like my hot pink Karl Lagerfeld faux fur, I wear on nights out, I wear on days out. I've worn it to the most kind of conservative of environments, the most elaborate of environments. And it's the outfit around it that changes to make it
Yeah.
more or less appropriate. If I'm making it a bit more subtle, if it could ever be that, I might use my black mulberry Bayswater as the bag. If I
Yeah.
want it to be more fun, I might use, I don't know, my rainbow Kurt Geiger double XL flap and just go all out.
To add to that, firstly, I'll talk about the trench coat thing. For me, one of the big experiments I did with the trench coat, because I don't wear sportswear, like I'm not a big sportswear fan, but one of the things I bought was these quite lovely jogger pants, which, because I don't have like relaxing clothing like loungewear. I don't, it's just not something that I have. Like I would wear jeans. If it's cold, I would wear jeans or pajamas if it's, in the evening and I'm not going to see anyone. So I bought a pair and in this baby pink, and then I bought them in a few other colors as well. And I wore those with a pair of white Adidas R&D whatever. I can't remember the names of them, but a t-shirt, and then I had my trench just kind of pushed the sleeves up, with a crossbody bag, and I really loved it. I'm like,
Oh,
this
cool.
is a really easy weekend look. I feel chic. I don't feel like I'm being someone I'm not, because my jogger pants were pale pink. I had like a cartoonish, I have these self-portrait t-shirts that have like the, avant-garde dogs, and the wine tour or wind tour de France. So they do these puns on the t-shirts, and they're really interesting. And for me, that was a way of changing the look of the trench. And I think, looking at how you style yourself, I think that you could do it that way as well. Like, just push the sleeves up and um, pop the collar kind of thing, and make it a little more sportswear as opposed to classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that was a creative thing. For some people, they might just go, oh, that's like nothing new, Einstein. But for me, it was, and it really changed the versatility of that piece, especially for holidays.
What colours? You've got the camely beige.
Yeah, I've still
Yeah.
got my other one. So at one point I had three. I had the navy Chelsea, which
Mhm.
to me is too classic. It's got that A-line fall from the waist, and the navy color I just felt just drained me. It just wasn't complimentary for me and what I wear. The original one I have is the Buckingham trench, which is a medium length. I love that because it's a really cool beige. It has black buttons, and it just complements all of the colors that I love to wear. But it's a teeny bit too small, because I've grown a little bit since I bought that one 10 years ago. And then the one that I have, which I'm going to sell this year, is a Kensington medium length in honey, and it's just too warm. I've got to wear it over black or white, like really cool, crisp colors, so that it doesn't make my face look yellow, because it tends to throw the wrong colors. But I can still make it work. I just have to be creative around what I put underneath, so that what's around my face still complements my skin, and my complexion. But the other creative thing I wanted to add was, and I don't know if it's new for you or not, but the lime green that's been doing the rounds was definitely not a color that I would have tried had it not been for Fendi's cruise collection.
Yeah.
And then I started to see it in the stores, and I'm like, I feel like this is really fun. This could work for me. And then I bought a blazer, and then I bought a off the shoulder top, and then I bought a handbag, and then I bought an oversized shirt, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this color. Something that most people would look at and just go, oh, yuck. But it was just lucky that I'd done my colors, and I was confident that it might work for me, and the season is right for me to be creative with that color. So
I think it's a great color. It's fun. You can wear it with. I think you've got to work in a similar tone to it, so it works very well with kind of magenta. It works well with cobalt blue, but you can also bring in purple and some softer shades as well if you wanted to. You
yeah,
probably steer a bit clear of the fruit bowl, so I maybe wouldn't wear it with orange or yellow.
yeah.
Probably not. Um, Maybe I'll try it and I'll see what it looks like, because I've got that puffer jacket in lime green, and I maybe put a yellow top on underneath it, and I'll see what it looks like. I think it's going to look horrible, but for the purpose of this, it's effective.
But yeah,
But great
I
colour.
think creativity can come from all sorts of places, and I think, most places have great returns policies now. So if there's something that you're just drawn to, instead of letting it pass, just buy it, try it, and then you can send it back if it doesn't work.
And you don't have to spend a fortune on it. You might decide to go for a really high-end version. Of course you can, but if that's not something that you want to do, then you can go for something that's much more affordable, high street. To be honest, 95% of my clothes are high street because
Same.
I just find it easier, and it means I can dip in and out of a trend.
Yeah.
And I'm normally a good 5 seasons behind the trend, but at least at some point. I mean, I'll say I'm on trend. I mean, the trend was in 2016, but I'm on it. I'm just late. I'm on the bus once everyone else has got off.
Well, it's a funny thing though now because when I look at the trends, I probably don't follow trends as in styles so much. So say um, the skinny jeans versus the straight leg jeans.
Mm.
I've played. I'm like, well, I just want to. I'm not going to say no. I rebelled quite a bit, but I'm not going to say no. I'm going to try, and I've actually found a few styles that are really that I really enjoy, and I like the silhouette and the proportions. Um, but I don't buy into, there's a lot of things out there for women at the moment, cut out dresses, crop tops, all the things that I was wearing in the 90s when I had a teenage body and, you know, and I could wear them, been there, done that. So I'm not going with those trends. But in terms of colours, I'm really quite enjoying the trends of the colours that go through. But I continue to choose shapes and
Yeah.
items that will always work, regardless of whether that color is trendy or not anymore. Um, yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know about you, but one of the things that I always think as well is I can't afford to be trendy, to
yeah,
be
yeah,
honest,
yeah.
because it changes so much when you think about how infrequently collections used to be launched and the changeover of fashion. It used to be
Mm.
so much slower. Now you can walk into a store 4 weeks apart and it's changed over again. And I I don't have the time to keep up with it. I don't have the resources to keep up with it. So it takes quite a lot of commitment, I think, to be trendy. And I'm going to say something that's quite maybe unpopular. I think being trendy and being fashionable are two different things.
And then add another dimension to that. Does it fit with your personal style or your personality?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would rather be considered, if someone said to me, "You're stylish," I see that as a greater thing for me than being trendy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of your personal style is also about how you edit the information that comes to you as well.
Yeah.
I've always been somebody, I will go to a hotel, I can go to a wedding, I can go to a store, and it's easier for me to say what I don't like or want for myself or wouldn't do than it is to select the things that really stick out to me, that I really quite am inspired by or would take away. So yeah, I think on that note, with regard to trends, you might take so when I did my styling course, for example, I
Mm.
find I've got a lot of loyalty reward programs with different stores. And I would buy a lot of things because I like them. But now I look at their new collections, and sometimes the whole color range that they've released doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I would not have known that before. So I would have gone, oh, I really like that. I like how they've styled that on that person who's got blonde hair and pale skin and blue eyes. Um, I'm going to buy it, put it on, put it back, put it on, put it back, put it on, put it back, and then eventually donate it.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore, and I'm losing all my status with these stores that I used to buy a lot of things from because whole collections can come out over and over again, and I'm like, that doesn't work for me. That's not the right
Yeah.
shape for me. Um, that's too long, that's too short, the neck's wrong, the color's wrong. It's so much easier for me to edit now that I have that knowledge. So when trends come, I can just pick, the
Yeah.
color. Yep, that color works. Now let me find a shape, and something that's not duplicitous in my wardrobe where I'm never going to reach for it because I already have a favorite. And I think that's a good way to save money and make your clothing budget go further is when you know what not to buy.
comes on to the third point. We've already slightly spoken about it, but kind of one of my tips, especially when it comes to experimenting and exploring your personal style, is being a little bit easy on your budget, because it is a trial and error process.
Yes.
And that might mean that you step outside of your comfort zone in terms of the brands that you would normally go for, or it's okay to try something, wear it for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and decide that it works for you. An example I would give you is, years ago, I really, really wanted a pair of Timberland boots. And I just struggled with the idea of paying £200 for something that I wasn't sure was going to work for me, because it's not really my style. But I was in Germany at the time. I was living there for a couple of months, and I saw this kind of dupe pair. I think they were Kangol, I want to say, in TK Maxx, and they were €30. And I thought, let's give them a go and see if they worked. And I wore them so much, so much. And so I came home and went, right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy the Timberlands. I'm going for it. And it was funny because they were a good test. And actually, I bought them in good faith, really, because I tested it. I'd gone easy on the budget, and I'd gone, I think they're going to work for me. What I realized was the environment that I was using the dupes in was the right environment. And then my kind of the environment I then came back to wasn't the right environment, and I had other things to then use. So it was a good lesson learned, actually, and that's then something I'm super conscious of, because, like I said, I took my own advice and it still didn't quite pan out. But had I not done that, I'd have probably been even more disappointed and even more irritated at myself. I actually tried to wear them the other day, adding them to one of my normal outfits. And I put them on, looked in the mirror and went, nah, kicked them off. On went the Geiger trainers, away we went.
Oh, look, I think that's a lesson. One of the big takeaways that I had a one-on-one session with this personal stylist who I did the course through that I've been referring to. And I said, packing for a holiday, I just find I always feel like I have to shop a lot when I pack for a holiday. I never shop my wardrobe. I rarely do. And one of the things she said to me is, just remember, a holiday is not a fancy dress party. You don't have to dress for the place that you're at. It's you visiting the place. So, from Australia, people go to Bali and all of a sudden they buy all this boho stuff that they would never wear. Like it's just not, people go to Greece and the Greek islands. Oh, now I'm all about caftans. Like, no, you're not. And then you wonder why you've spent all this money and you don't wear it. I mean, there is a real sense of fun around occasion dressing, but if you have a personal style, you can bring that wherever you are in the world. And bringing it back to cost, one of the things for me has been these dad sandals or these Birkenstock style sandals, right? Because I've and we've got a real housewife of Melbourne here, Gina Liano, who would never wear flats, right?
I love her so much. Every time Connor posts a housewife meme on Instagram, I'm all over it.
yeah. And like I don't mind flats, right? But I was just like Birkenstocks and dad sandals, and I own both now. But I bought this cheap pair of $50. I would call them like a Birkenstock in like a raffia kind of finish, and I bought those because I was considering a pair that were like $700 from Ulla Johnson. and I was like, I think they'll work for me. Like, they're a neutral. I quite like the style of them. And I did go and buy the more expensive ones, and they aren't something I could walk a mile in, but I do like the vibe. They're a good just, slide on to lunch kind of thing, or, wander around the shops or the market kind of thing. But I probably didn't need to shell out for the Ulla Johnson ones. I could have
Yeah,
bought.
and that's such a good point actually, because also I think sometimes, as much as we're saying maybe if you want to dip your toe into something, start less expensive and then work your way up. But
Mm.
also, if you find something that works for you and it costs a fraction, stick
Keep
with it.
it.
I've got this pair of Lacoste slides that I bought back in 2013, and they were £30. And I remember thinking that was really expensive at the
Yeah,
time. And
yeah,
I still wear them. I still own them. And I mean, slides, I think, are one of the biggest wastes of money anyway, from a luxury perspective. Apologies in advance to anyone who invests heavily in them, but wasted your money. But it's one of those things that I then was using those and then thinking, should I go and buy a more expensive pair? And I thought, for what? For
yeah,
what purpose am I
yeah,
using them
yeah,
for?
yeah,
Unless they offered me something aesthetically that I couldn't get elsewhere. And in all honesty, I run to the shops in them, I take the bins out. That's about as glamorous as it gets for those
yeah,
shoes.
yeah.
So to do anything more, to spend any more on would be a waste. But sometimes it's also okay to stick.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
Luxury slide lovers are switching off as we speak.
Honestly, I am one of those, and
Do
they're
you have
just
the fun ones with Givenchy written across the front, rubber with Givenchy on them?
I don't have any of the like proper like poolside slides,
Yeah.
like the big ones. Mine are more like sandal slides, but still stupid, uncomfortable, ridiculously expensive. But they look good in photos, Nick.
I love the Mazaran sandals. I think they're great. So
They are. They're really good
I wouldn't
once
put
you
those. I
stretch
wouldn't
them.
put those in the category. Those
Yeah,
those don't feature there for me. It's the big logo on a rubber slide.
yeah,
That's my beef. At some point, I think I might do a fashion that keeps me up at night video,
yes.
and I think those might feature quite heavily.
What do you think of the Gucci Blooms ones, though? They've always been intriguing to me. And then they've got the
I
kind of
love
floral.
I love the Gucci Blooms print. I think it's a really stunning print. But I think buy it on something else. Buy it on anything else, quite literally anything else. Shoes are one of those things. I'm a shoe lover and I have
Yeah,
a lot of shoes. I think shoes are a really fun way to inject some personal style, but they spend their time on the floor. And that for me is always a thing about them. I used to spend a lot more on shoes than I do now. And the reason being, I've got shoes that I bought, spent a lot of money on, first wear out. You can be as careful as you like, but it only takes one person to stand on your foot.
hmm,
I used to be a lover of wearing suede or velvet shoes to nightclubs because
yeah,
that was sensible. So, of course, it only takes one person to drop a drink on them. It's not necessarily you that's the issue. It can be that someone else inadvertently does something. At a formal event many years ago, I had someone put their chair leg down on my shoe and it put a hole through the top of the shoe. Luckily, my foot was not in the way,
Oh my
but
God.
it just goes to show that was a complete accident. They moved their chair back, my foot happened to be there, hole in the shoe.
God.
So I've not had a lot of luck with shoes. But
Mm,
yeah, in terms of the Gucci ones, I think they're really nice. But I think you can get that print on some much better things. I love the Gucci Dionysus in that print.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
And it's fun, it's playful, you could wear that summer or winter. Um, yeah, it's a good print, wrong item.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
So if you're weighing it up, don't do it. Now, I think one of the things that when we were chatting, we're both a big fan of when it comes to personal style is accessories as a
Mm.
great way to bring some fun, some color, some texture into a look. But kind of what's your thought around accessories? How do you like to integrate them?
Oh, look, it's probably where I spend the bulk of my money. If I had a budget, I would say most of it I would commit to accessories. And I would say, based on what I see of your outfit of the day posts, we're probably similar in this way where um, our suits, we don't, if we do wear a monochromatic look, it's usually in a color. I'll always, if it's not monochromatic, I'll always have a colored blazer. That's a way I inject my personal style. So I've got quite a few now. I've even got a Fendi blazer now. I've not worn it to work yet, but I feel like I could
Is
in
that your
winter.
the Zucker print one?
Yeah, the Zucca print one. Yeah. Um, I would wear, I have coloured pumps. So I have a couple of pairs of coloured pumps. So instead of wearing a nude heel or a black heel, which I also have, I would tend to wear a lilac or a pink. They're pastels. I think they work really in a complementary way, especially if I contrast them with my blazer. Um, so that's a good way to use accessories. And the other one is if I've got a really put together look, I will pick brooches, and I've got these little fun brooches from Chanel.
Oh, I
Um,
love those. I
yeah,
love.
and I can make a really classic look fun. I think this is a personality piece. It's not a CC brooch. It's quite obviously a caricature. It's and they're just fun, you know. And to me, I always want to remember who I am when I'm in an interaction. I think that's where your confidence comes from. If you're not trying to be someone else, you're not putting energy into maintaining that facade. You can put the energy into the actual conversation or the presentation that you're making or the network that you're trying to create with new people, you know. Yeah, so accessories to me, obviously handbags, you know, that's what what my channel is about. And I my work bags are monogram. I'm not worried personally since I've been buying designer pieces from back in like 2010. I've always worn them to work. I'm like, I bought a bag, I'm going to wear it to work. And I bought big bags originally. I bought a Prada tote in Milan. First day I got back from holidays, I wore it to work. I didn't even think that people would go, "Oh, you're a bit fancy with your Prada tote." Like, I'm just like, it's a
Yeah.
bag. Like, I'm carrying work stuff in it. And now it's kind of become a part of my brand. And yes, I'm a consultant, so I go in and out of organizations, but I work for very conservative organizations, government organizations. And it is not unusual for people to come to me and say, "Oh, what is that? What is that bag?
Yeah.
What does it say?" I say, "It says this is not a Gucci bag." And they go, "Oh." I said, "Well, it looks like a Gucci bag, but Balenciaga, who's owned by the same company, made the bag to look like a Gucci bag." And they said, "So it's like counterfeit." And I'm like, "Yeah, like it's a bit of a, you know, a
Yeah.
statement around, is it still counterfeit
Intentionally
if
so.
another luxury house is doing it?" And like, that's so interesting. It's really cool, you know, and I can talk to people about that now.
Yeah.
And they will now look out when I go and, you know, run events for them and say, "Oh, what bag are you carrying today?" You know, and my Never Full World tour has got, you know, pictures of dogs and like the Statue of Liberty, and they're like, "Oh, you really like New York? I love New York too," or "I've always wanted to go." So I actually find it, I never thought it was courageous. I understand why it is now for
Mm.
people to expose themselves in a way where they say, "This is who I am," or "This is what I'm interested in," or, you know, I can empathize with that now. It does not, it's never stopped me. I will never go, "I'm going to this place, so therefore I will not wear a designer bag." Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And I think it's just it's yeah, I would agree. I think you just have to you do sometimes have to pick your moment, but it might just be that you swap something out for something else. I know that a go-to of mine, if I and I mentioned it earlier, if I fancy being a little bit more conservative, my Mock Croc Mulberry Bayswater is a go-to of
Mm.
mine because it's just quite as designer bags go, it's a bit more under the radar.
But it's
But
still crocodile, like, I think
yeah,
to me, I go, that's still a vibe.
yeah, and I love it for that because
Yeah.
I it would be a bit dull to me otherwise. But yeah, I think you just have to have fun with fashion and being able to express yourself. And everyone has different interests as
Mm,
well, and that's
mm.
okay too. And it is a way of expressing your personality. And sometimes you can just add a little bit of fun and playfulness and kind of pattern or print or and what I love about accessories in particular is they are the removable parts of your item.
Mm.
So of your outfit, sorry, not your item. The if you might go in wearing a scarf, but decide that actually you don't want to wear that for the rest of the day. So you take it off and you pop it in your bag and that's fine. The outfit works with it, the outfit works without it. Or
And you
it could
tie,
be
or
the
you
same.
tie it around the bag, so then you've still got it, but
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's still floating around, or you've got the brooches, like you showed. There's lots of ways of being able to bring in a little bit of fun.
I think
Um,
cufflinks, I think
yeah,
earrings, I think um, um, when else you think about accessories, like any jewelry, I suppose, things that you wear in your hair, ties, neckties for men, lots
yeah.
of
That was always my way of when I used to wear more. So when I used to wear kind of a dark suit to work, my way of expressing a bit of personality with it was I always had brightly coloured ties, or I'm a big lover of paisley and I'm a big lover of florals.
Mhm.
And so I used to have a specific rotation that I used to wear just in order to add a little bit of something. Or there might be, I'm not really a huge fan of pocket squares, but sometimes you might go for the pocket square as well. Or I know some people go for a jazzy pair of socks underneath a chino, or there's
Yes,
just there's subtle ways if you don't want to throw full caution to the wind, or you happen to like that more conservative style, but you still want little nods to playfulness.
yes,
Why can't you have a fun tie? Why can't you have a fun pair of socks? Why can't you have a slightly jazzier pair of shoes? Or, like you said, a pair of cufflinks or a lapel pin, or just something
yeah,
that has a bit more of a nod. Or you go fully all out and,
yeah.
you know,
The socks rings a bell for me because I used to work in heavy industry in the mining environment, and what I wore to work every day was jeans, steel cap boots, and a high vis shirt. So everyone looked the same.
yeah,
So my thing was Paul Frank socks, and I used to buy a 10 pack every year, and they'd be like these crazy colors with the monkey faces on them. And I used to just, it was such a fun part of my getting ready for the day, even though
yeah,
no one else knew, I knew.
yeah,
And I think that's what personal style and personality is. It's kind of like, what do you choose regardless of whether people are going to see it or not? Um, and why would you choose something that's not you, especially if no one's going to see it, like a pair of socks? So
yeah,
I think you can kind of start with those sorts of things. And this might be a little bit of FOMO, but even underwear, whether people see it or not, how you treat yourself and what you think about yourself is a huge part of how you show up in the world. So,
yeah,
nobody needs to see it. And if somebody does see it, they might be very impressed. But but you know what I mean? Like, at least it's for you. It's for you. It's your personality, and whatever that may be, whether it's covered up in corporate wear, or you're a tradesperson, or you work in hospitality, or whatever the case is, I think at the end of the
yeah.
day, you do it for you first, and feeling comfortable to do it for yourself is one thing, and then feeling comfortable to take that into your outerwear is kind of the next logical progression.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's such an important point because you have to be able to express your own personal style for you first,
Mm,
whatever that might look like.
yeah,
It's such we can get in our own way
yeah,
sometimes.
absolutely.
A lot of the time, actually, and of course, we'll come on to this kind of a little bit later in terms of what are some of those barriers.
Mm,
But you can totally get in your own way, and by understanding yourself, what you're looking to convey, how you're looking to do something, whether that be fully fledged or whether that be a subtle wink, like we were saying with the socks, it's you figure that bit out first
yeah.
and then take the next steps, and don't let other people stand in your way. So my final point was kind of when tell if people try and tell you that less is more or that you need to adjust or adapt, just ignore them.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if you love what you're doing and you're having fun, and you know would 90% of people want to wear what I wear? Probably not. They might wear pieces of it, but would they put it all together like that? Possibly not. Does that stop me from doing it? No. Does it mean that, I want to do it any less? No. It's because you're doing it for you
Yeah.
and you just want to have fun for yourself. And actually, sometimes if someone doesn't like it, it actually spurs me on a little bit more because I kind of find that part of the fun.
That's exactly the dynamic I have with my husband, Nick. When in during Grinchmas, I said, "Oh, we're overdue for you to do your five favorite and your five least favorite of my bags," and people always get a kick out of hearing what your significant other says, and I think it's because people assume that he approves my purchases, or
Yeah.
I've often had people say, "Oh, you must be really well off, or you have a wealthy husband," and I'm like, both. um,
Yeah.
like, A, it's none of your business, but
Yeah.
B, I understand that some relationships work codependently like that. Ours is not. We are both individuals. We happen to be married and we have shared finances, but I don't seek approval and neither does he, but we talk about it. Is it good
Yeah,
timing?
cool.
Does it make sense? I would never ask his opinion on a handbag that I love, that I know that he won't like it. He's a classic person. He has a uniform. It pretty much consists of navy or any shade of blue t-shirt. A
Although
pair
he
of
threw us off in the last video because he didn't love some of the ones that I think you thought he liked.
yes. Oh, look, he's he he's a navy t-shirt floral shorts guy, and he does have some pretty outlandish stuff, and I love it and I applaud it because I don't. That's the other thing. He wears those clothes. People say, "Oh, Dayle bought that for you, didn't she?" He's like, "Dayle doesn't buy any of my clothes." Like,
Yeah.
he would
That's
ask me
him
to.
expressing his personal style.
Exactly, and I love it. He's got this beautiful pair of blue suede shoes, and when he bought them, I'm like, you really like these?" He goes, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Cool." Like, I'm not going to say, why? When will you ever wear blue suede shoes, Elvis?
Yeah,
Um,
I was going to say, had he just listened to Elvis Greatest Hits?
yeah, but I
He
would
watched the
be,
movie.
the person who I'm closest to in the world. I would not take his perspective on what I purchase or what he says about my mink Fendi sandals, my sequin bags, things that I purchase that are fun and playful. I don't say, "Oh, I'm not going to buy that because my husband won't like it." I'm like, he loves me. This is
Yeah.
me. Like, this is what I do. And I'll tell you a little secret. When I get my hands on that little pigeon clutch that Carrie has in this, I am buying
Oh
it.
God, is that the J.W. Anderson one?
Yes, I'm
Oh my
on. I'm
word.
listed on every pre-order site for it, and he would just be like, "Okay." So more is more, especially the people that love you the most. They don't have to love your style; they just have to love you. And I think if you dress for other people, I get the sense that it's very nice to wear something that your partner might enjoy, or your parents might go, "Oh, it's so nice to see you in a dress, you always wear pants," or whatever. Okay. But at the end of the day, as you said, you you dress for yourself and how you're feeling or how you want to feel. And if that means that you're a bit extra, and you're, so be it. If that means you're very conservative and very straight, so be it. Like whatever your particular personal style is. And yeah, I don't know. I think that sometimes I live in a bubble, and that when I talk to other people, it doesn't seem that easy for them to just throw caution to the wind and go, it's just clothes. It doesn't change my capability. It doesn't change my personality. It doesn't change what I can offer other people in the way of service or love or whatever. But it really can be challenging. And I think people would be happier if they could be more themselves.
Yeah. And I always think as well with these things, if you wear an atrocious outfit, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, I've worn outfits in the not so distant past that I've looked back on, and this is where the outfit of the day thing can work in your favor or count against you. I was going back through some of mine, and I was looking and I thought, what were you doing? And I'll show you the outfit at somewhere on here at this moment of what I was thinking of, the one I'm talking about. And I remember thinking it's going to look so good. And I was going to, honestly, I thought I was going to Fashion Week, I was going to be on Vogue, Anna Wintour, I was going to be on her speed dial because this outfit was going to be that. I've never looked worse, honestly. And I still wore it. And I spent the whole day feeling uncomfortable. And I just sat there and I thought, that's what you get, Nick, for trying something. And that outfit is now locked away, never to be seen again. The components of it, I think, could be reworn, but never again together. Yeah. But that was all right. And did I hate the outfit? Yes. But people didn't walk past me and say, you look vile, Other than me thinking, God, Nick, you look a bit shit today. There was no real issue that was happening. Yeah. And lesson learned. But then I've had other outfits that I didn't think were going to work that I've put on, tried, and I loved them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you just got to have fun with it, and you just got to be a bit brave, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's one of the points that I had that I'll probably add in here is around when in doubt, know your uniform. What are the things like, and this is where your photo reference comes in handy, and you go, there's just a look that I put together and I know it works. And it's not the same one every time, but the components are the same. And it might be t-shirt, blazer, skinny jeans, sneakers. And I know that works over and over and over again. I know that works. For me, it's what I'm wearing today, like an A-line dress with a V-neck. I know that I can choose one thing, I can put it on, and then I can go, oh, I feel like I've worn that over and over again, but I can do different hair, different jewelry, different shoes, different bag, and I just feel good. And I think one of those things about your personal style is figure out what your uniforms are, the things, your go-tos, and document them somehow. Take a picture of them so that when you don't know what to wear and you don't feel like being creative, you've got a foundation. And then you can just, as you said, pop your accessories in, pick a different scarf this time. Oh, and if the scarf doesn't work or it's giving you the shits, put it in your bag or just hang it over your bag so it's still part of your outfit but it's not on you. Try a different shade of lipstick, or put a different pair of earrings on, or part your hair in a different direction. If you know what your uniform is, I think that's the most comfortable thing. And so many people say, oh, jeans and a white t-shirt, and I'm like, no, that's not everybody's that's not everybody's uniform. So I think one of the things that is really important in your personal style is know your uniform, because then you're less inclined to, yes, be brave and try new things, but you're less inclined to have those days where you feel like, oh, it's a fail. You can have some confidence, you know.
Yeah, you're right. You absolutely have those. And I think we all have those go-tos. And there's
Yeah.
ways of I was wearing an all black outfit the other day, and it was a black turtleneck with a black blazer, black jeans, black boots, that kind of very cohesive look. And I had a black bag. And I thought, I need something. I didn't want to wear a scarf, which tends to be my go to. And it was a tip that I picked up from Victoria. So in the Fro. Is that her channel still? Victoria anyway, and she did a video a little while ago on different ways to wear a scarf. And one of the ways I picked up from her was you wrap it round and tuck it into your waistband, put a jacket on, and then kind of it looks like lapels. I
Yeah.
think that was how she did it, either that or I went a bit off piste with her actual styling tip. But that's one of the kind of go-tos. But I didn't fancy doing that this time. So I'd recently bought some new earrings, and I bought the same pair in pink and blue. And I thought, I don't want to wear just a cohesive pair. So I pulled one pink one blue one, stuck them in my ears. You couldn't notice that from afar, but whenever people were close to me,
Yeah.
they were saying, "Oh wow, your earrings are different colours."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, I felt like doing something that I knew I'd done, but
Yeah.
from afar you didn't realise I'd done."
Yeah.
And actually, that was that kind of subtle wink to myself,
Yes.
almost,
I'm
to do
still
something
here.
a little fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was I'd worn a bit of a uniform that I knew I liked, an outfit I knew I liked, but I couldn't quite figure out how to elevate it.
Yeah.
So I went for that. And
Yeah.
it was a comfortable way of still having a bit of fun that I was having fun with it, and not everyone else needed to.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really good example. And it's something that people can think about, you know, watching this video and kind of go, what is my go-to? What do I always feel good in? And then I can just change out bits, whether it's, you know, if it's back to the example of the jeans, t-shirt, blazer, and, you know, interesting shoes, then you go, do I wear a print t-shirt today, or do I wear a plain t-shirt? Do I wear a colored blazer, or do I wear a neutral blazer? Do I wear black jeans or blue jeans or pink jeans even? You know, and then do I wear a court shoe, a sandal, a sneaker, whatever? Like, that's the combination. And you just go back to your point earlier around proportions. You go, okay, so what am I trying to do? Do I want to look longer? Do I want to look more edgy? Do I want to be more playful? Is that my message today? Do I want to look very chic today? You know, what's my vibe? And then you can pull those basic uniform pieces together in a combination that works for that message.
Yeah, and understanding what is it that works, to your point about the uniform. What is it that works for you? Is it because it's a palette that you tend to go for? Is it a silhouette that you prefer? In which case, you can then start to figure out which bits you can alter.
Yes.
To potentially, because if you found a certain silhouette that you absolutely love and is your complete go-to, could you go for that pattern? Like you said, could you, if you're someone who loves a wide leg long trouser with a blouse, could you change the pattern of the trouser? Could you change the material of the trouser? Could you change the blouse? Like, there's different things that you could do to start easing yourself in to zhuzhing it up, so to speak, if you wanted to.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things that kind of leads on to is, if you've got a favorite color, you know, you can integrate it in a pair of shoes, a bag, a hairpiece, and then you start to get a bit braver and you go with a top or a blazer, or the top and the blazer. And then you do what we do, where we do the whole look, you know, in one color. And there is nothing more, you know, you've made it. Oh, I think, like, when I go out and I'm wearing all lilac, I'm like, I know I feel good that day, because I know, not that it's my intention, but I know it will draw attention for the simple fact that it's one block, everything, you know, shades of purple. But if I wear a whole white look or an off-white look, which I will do on the regular as well in winter, I love winter whites. I'm like you, I like bright colors in winter. If I wear a head to toe white look in winter, it'll be the same thing.
Yes.
It's because it's all one look, and also you have the benefits of looking a bit taller. It looks very sophisticated because it's all very tonal. It's something that I certainly picked up from my Euro travels, this whole concept of very monochromatic dressing or shades of the same tone. Um, so you can, if that's your color, and I think you can put little bits in, even if it's just your nail polish, or you can go the whole hog and do everything. That's the kind of, if we were to put this, bringing your personality into your personal brand on a continuum, I think that's a really good metaphor for it. It's like,
Yeah.
is it your underwear or your nail polish? Like something very, subtle,
Yeah.
or is it head to toe in your favorite color? And I think if you thought about how comfortable you are with your personality in your personal style, whether your favorite color is black or purple or pink, then, I think people could plot themselves there and kind of go,
Yeah.
where do I think I sit? And if my goal is to get to the end, um, what might my next step be to getting there?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's definitely a really good way to look at it. And then you start to, once you get to that point, I think you then start to swap pieces out, and you learn by trying, you learn by getting it right, you learn by getting it wrong. And that's part of the fun of it all. You have to be able to, I think, in that journey of self-expression, you have to be able to laugh at yourself as well a little bit in it, when you get it right and when you get it wrong. And
Yeah,
we've all, I'm sure, at times got it wrong. And that's why I think it's also about making the most of what you have as well.
yeah,
And there are people who have the most beautiful items that I quite often look at and think, I would love to just style that in a slightly different way. I feel like you could get so much more out of it. And sometimes I think you don't quite know what you've got in front of you in terms of a styling tool.
mm,
But I would just love to be able to, if I could get my hands on that bag or that pair of shoes or that jacket, there's so much that I think I can do with it. And quite often I'll watch it, and it's a lot of the time on YouTube, etc. And they'll say, I'm not 100% sure what to do with it. And I'm shouting at the laptop saying, give it to me. I know what to do with it. Let me have it. Let me have it. Because,
yeah,
but that takes time, I think. And I'm sure in the same way, I've probably got items that I just did my items that I didn't use really in 2022. And I'm sure there are probably items in there that other people were looking at thinking, I'd use that daily, or I'd be able to use that really easily. But I think the conclusion I came to in that video was the pieces just weren't my style.
yeah,
I'd misunderstood what my style was really, or I went for a style I thought I should have rather than style I actually do have.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can absolutely relate. I can absolutely relate. And for me, it was buying classics, watching too much YouTube, and people saying bags you must have in your collection, and
Oh my goodness, I
then
know.
going and buying them in slightly unique combinations, but still the same thing, and then just going, this, I don't get it. It's not working for me. So yeah, I totally relate to that lesson learned.
Yeah,
But luckily, I was able to redeem redeem the monies and
yeah,
move on.
exactly.
I feel like we've covered. I feel like
I would
we've
say so.
covered a lot of things. There were two other things that I would just throw in. You talked about how you style things. I think that's an important thing. So that we covered that, which is just, if you've got a pair of jeans that you wear the same way, either style them with different pieces, or maybe cuff the bottom of them, or wear them at a different length, play with those dimensions. Same with shirts, roll sleeves, French tucks. You can do a French cuff on your sleeve as well. You
Yeah,
can do, there's lots of things. Pop the collar, put the collar down, fold the collar under, things like that. the other one was take the photos, even if they're just for you. Take the photos. It's it is, I have found invaluable since I've been, YouTubing and using Instagram to cross promote my YouTube channel, is that people want to see how you wear your things, because just unboxing something and then never seeing it again is not really helpful if you're using it as a reference point to go, is this going to work for me in my personal style? But those photos I have used a few times now to purchase really expensive handbags, because in colors where I've gone, how would I wear that? Because I don't like my pops of color bags to be worn as a pop of color. I like them to look like they're more integrated into an outfit. And so I can go through my Instagram now, or if you don't use Instagram, your photo folder, and you can just look at the thing that you're looking to buy and go, would it go with that? 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 And if you can say yes, a handful of times, excellent, buy it. If you aren't convinced, and or you don't have that reference, you feel like it's the blind leading the blind. And my Fendi CA, she actually went through my Instagram to help me get comfortable once, because I was like, I really want it, but I'm just unsure how to style it. And she went through and she sent me a bunch of pictures on my Instagram and just photoshopped the bag over the top and said, I can see it with this, I can see it with this. And I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a really good tool.
That is, yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. And you can visualize things, and sometimes you can forget how you styled something as well.
Yeah.
So going, I know I wore it 3 weeks ago and I can't quite remember the full combination, but I know I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you can then go back and go, that's what I did, but I'm either going to keep it the same, or I think I would love it even more if I did this.
Yeah. For me, I find how I wear my hair makes a big difference to how my outfit looks. Like, there's not a lot of things that I'll wear hair down for, because I feel like it feels like a scarf. Whereas other things I would just like, absolutely has to be hair down, because otherwise there's too much skin or whatever. So yeah, I find it's those little the secret tricks that you've forgotten, that the photos really help you to go, that's what it was. Got it now, or I tucked it that particular way, or it wasn't those jeans, it was those jeans, or, whatever. And
sometimes it can be something that was unintentional that you then pick up on and make a more intentional practice going forward. Because it might have been that you thought you were having a bad hair day that day, you took the photo anyway, and actually when you look back on it, you think, actually no, it worked in that way, because I wasn't loving that way my hair looked, so I put it in a ponytail. But then you look at the outfit and you think, actually that really worked with that hairstyle. Or what you thought you originally wanted to wear wasn't there, so you grabbed your favorite t-shirt was in the wash, so you grabbed a different one, thought it's close enough, look back on it and go, actually that works just as well. So I've now unintentionally found a new favorite. It can work out quite well.
Yep, for sure. I think they're really good tips.
Perfect.
Well, I feel like we can probably pull up on that one. That's going to be fun to edit.
Yeah. That's all right.
I'll just stop recording.